Yeah, my name is Cheanice Van Leeuwen, and my current role is a customer success manager. Yeah, for sure. So I went to school at MRU for business, so where I majored in marketing and I minored in something called nonprofit and social innovation. So that was something while I was like at MRU that was like super interesting to me was like the whole like social innovation side. Like, what does that mean? And like, it was really kind of about like organizations or businesses out there making like a social impact. So with that one, while I was a student, I started kind of looking at like different like companies in Calgary and Alberta that really kind of focused around like making a social impact or having like user-faced kind of technology type of initiatives in tech. So with that one, I graduated MRU, was kind of about 10 months to about a year later, and actually found my way to Kudos. So over at Kudos, I joined the customer success team. So Kudos is really kind of like a small and mighty team of about 15 people or so when I joined. And with that one, I like within my customer success, like I really helped kind of like build it almost from the ground up. So when I was there for like my first day, there was only kind of myself and one other person. So kind of had to like really figure out like what does customer success mean? How do we engage with our customers? How do we define this at Kudos in general? So really with that one, I held kind of 4 or 5 different roles at Kudos in the 5.5 years that I was there. So anything kind of from like providing customer support to doing the implementations of the software with B2B companies to eventually being a team lead and then kind of going into account management. So did a lot, kind of really saw the organization grow and scale and was really in the right place at the right time. So I grew as the organization was growing. So pretty cool as to kind of what happened in the last 5 years of my life. And then just kind of this past October, I decided to kind of further my own like professional development and spread my wings and fly per se. And I took a role with a people operations software company. So still in software and tech in general, but kind of working like a work from home type of a job now and everything. But in that role is kind of where I'm a customer success manager. So really helping organizations see the value of the solution they purchased and furthering their goals and initiatives when it comes to kind of employee onboarding, offboarding, everything in the realm of people operations. Yeah, so my current role, and kind of like a goal I have for like myself too is to always like further like my strategic perspective that I take into conversation. So right now, if it's B2B, it's kind of dealing with or working with kind of people that are people operations leaders. They're sometimes the directors or sometimes marketing, but there are so many different like industries around the world. So it could be like a fitness gym, it could be an eyeglass store, it could be like a big tech company. There's so many different industries in my specific day. It's kind of around like having those conversations, setting up like the meeting with them. I do a lot of like customer success planning. So kind of meeting with the customer, figure out like what are your goals? How are you measuring success? And always coming back to that. What are you looking to achieve? Like, and that always changes too for organizations. So it's like furthering that conversation, but also being like, okay, what do the different like stakeholders, what are they looking for? Like, because of course, like as like a customer success manager, we're looking to like prevent churn, like reduce risk. We're looking to build out like long lasting relationship with the customer. I think there's a few sides to it when I look at like that question. I think it really kind of the first part of it is that you have to like do the work. Like you have to like get in, you have to ask the questions, understand things, like figure out like if things aren't documented, like is there opportunity to document it? Is there opportunity to like teach others and kind of develop it kind of from like doing hands-on, getting the experience type of thing to like level up your career because you can't know what you don't know. The next part of it is really kind of like leaning on your network. Like even for me, like as I've kind of transitioned and like internally with roles, externally with roles, it's kind of like it's figuring like who is in your network, like who are those people that you can lean on, that you can go for coffee with, that are going to give you like their unbiased opinion and be like, hey, we're here to support you in this journey. And and just spending time to like identify who those people are and like leveraging that. The other part of it I think is like just like seeking opportunities. So seeking opportunities, looking like for resources So if you are interested in like a certain area of tech, or there's a role that like jumps out to you, there's so many like great resources out there. Like if it comes to like LinkedIn, if it comes to like different tech career fairs, there's like so many like companies in CS specifically, like things like Gainsight and Client Success is another one, where they have like free webinars, they have blog articles, and most of this stuff is like little to no cost, and like you can just join it. So like for me, like if I was like interested in like CS leadership and like seeing, okay, what would it take to go into CS leadership? And then I'm just like watching those webinars, subscribing to things, and like taking the time to do it.
Staying curious.
Staying curious, absolutely. Yeah. And then like really the last part of it is like, I don't know, it's figure like what are your like opportunities like in the community. So like there's different like tying back to resources, like things like Rainforest Alberta is the one resource that I kind of came across and started joining. Like they're like different, they have like a lunch without lunch like webinar type thing. So I like went and I sat in on that one, and it's like every Wednesday, and it's just like people of like-mindedness, they're getting together to talk about like entrepreneurship and innovation and like, again, social innovation, making a social impact is like kind of this theme for me. But through that, it's just like, what are the other opportunities, or what are the other people that like are on a similar journey to yourself? That I think for me, it's like, I care so much about like the end user and about people. And I think like tech, especially like in CS roles in tech, let me do that. So like I do have like other experience in like customer service or a little bit hospitality type of background. But I think with tech, it's like it's moving so fast and there's like endless opportunities in it. So it's like, especially like customer success, like organizations they all purchased a product, they're looking to solve a solution, but it's what ways can we like support the customer, especially in B2B, which is like really interesting. Like you're helping an organization like make an impact, and you're helping them implement something, you're helping them like realize the value in something. And I think that like that specifically in tech is something that like really like interests me. I think it's a lot of it is to do with like my own personal values and like and aligning myself with companies that like I stand behind and that I like what they represent, and I like that they're like values driven, they know what their mission is. But I also have like a certain level where I can interact with people and like build relationships and help them make a difference. If it's like I always come back to it being like the employee experience is like a huge thing for me. It's like being in it and like being able to like have the conversation and bring ideas, and with like how fast like the companies are like innovating and changing and everything as well. It's like finding those opportunities to like insert yourself in it, but like always be like, in customer success, we're always the advocate for the customer. So there's always opportunities to champion that, to like help further that conversation internally. So I think it makes it like less cold, and there's always like there's a human behind what we're trying to achieve. It's sometimes a tough one. Like that's like not super easy. Like I think I've been fairly fortunate with like being able to like identify like what I value, and sometimes it takes going through an experience that like is something that you don't value to realize what you do. But I think it's like doing the research on the company, if they have like a careers page, if they have a social media, if they have LinkedIn, like even like connecting with someone at the company, like sending them a LinkedIn invitation to chat. Like it's going for what you want, and like having that like open conversation with them, and just seeing if it's in their culture to speak with you, then that says a lot about the company and stuff too, and like the culture of like a specific team. Yeah, it's that. It's also like seeing like if the company has like, if they like really truly have great values. Sometimes they have like a culture handbook, or they have some kind of resource that's like, okay, this is the way we do things. And sometimes it's publicly posted like on their website. So read through it, take the time to like understand it, and like try to visualize yourself at the company in that role. I think like mentorship, I think
I would say it almost like comes with like a little bit of maturity. Cause like even if I look at myself like a couple years ago, I was like less kind of seeking out like a mentor than I was like when I was like more mature in my role. So when I'm more mature in my role, and again, like if the organization has a program or they have something where you're like, okay, I'm going to be this today, and I'm like in a year I can be this, right? It's like sometimes like organizations struggle to have that piece in place, and there's like so much of a need for it because like in my position, like I didn't really start seeking mentorship until I was looking to make a career move. And my organization, I wasn't getting that information from them. And I was like, okay, I've done all of this. I've grown for 5.5 years in this department, but what does it look like for me? And it's almost like, okay, like there are people like in my network that I think have almost become more like there's some that like, but again, like I've been in the tech industry, the same company for so long. So like the leaders I've had, like the owners of the company, sure, they're people like I look up to, but I wouldn't really say they're really true mentors until I made the switch, until I went somewhere else to then be like, okay, now I can really lean on this person. Of course, there's like people like your parents that you look up to, and like you're like, okay, like my mom is like a go-getter, so it's like you have like mentors like that, but professionally, it's like it was kind of tough. It was kind of tough to find that. But like once I like really kind of started to be like, okay, like this is my year to like be like, this is my professional development journey, and this is like where I want to go, and like just seeking out people that are in roles that I like, or that sort of thing was really when I started like building that. And like there's like so much like opportunity, like you just have to figure out where to find it. It's like you go back to like the rainforest group, and it's like, okay, like it was something I was like super like apprehensive to be like, I don't know anybody here, but like I know I'm interested in these topics. There has to be people in the city or in Calgary or in Alberta or Canada that have a similar interest to me. I would say like what was really helpful for me was like identifying like, okay, what are my skills? Like what do I excel in? And like being like, okay, like I'm a person that likes to be involved in things. I'm a person that likes to collaborate. And like going through that process, especially like if you're trying to get into tech or pivoting into a different industry, really figuring out and like taking the time to like reflect, step back and be like, okay, like this is what I like to do, and like where do I see myself in 3 or 5 years? Like for me, it's less of like I want this role, I want to be in this company, and it's more of like I want to be in this environment and feel fulfilled. So it's like it's taking the time, and sometimes we get so busy like in our day-to-day, but like if you can find like the 5 minutes to 10 minutes drive to the mountains for a day to like think about like take time for yourself, especially as a woman in tech, like I think is like you get so bogged down, especially if you've been like in a place for a while or a role for a while. It's like, how do you separate that and like start to like go on start to put yourself on a path to finding like what are the resources that or people. Like that's when I connected with Cheanice initially. It was like, okay, what this is how I'm feeling in my role, and like this is like just to get that, and again, like outside perspective, right, is like the biggest part.